Okay, so episode 3. I have more of an idea of what I want to talk about today. I want it to be more about succeeding and the people that help you succeed. I think a lot of times in society, the problem that men find themselves in is the fact that they lack direction, guide, and that sort of little brotherly or like father figure. And whilst even though they may have a great parent, the dad might be great and whatever, he might be a lovely person, love them, do things for them. I think there comes a time when you mentally outgrow that person, which is fine. I think whether it's in your career life path, your desires for yourself, or just your life in general, I think there comes a time where you end up outgrowing those close to you, your family. If you're fortunate to have a father, then him, your first father figure. And that's okay. Like at the end of the day, still love them, still respect them, still appreciate everything they've done for you. But it just so happens that you've come to the end of your relationship in terms of progressing together. Still have a relationship, but the terms of progressing together, you've come to the end of that. And I think a problem that a lot of people and young men are finding in society this day and age is finding that father figure, that mentor. Because there are so many boys that are just lost in society, and there aren't enough valuable, strong men to provide father figures, that people latch on to those on social media, like Andrew Tate's, whoever else, they latch on to those father figures, even though the message might not be perfect, but whose message is, they latch on to those messages because they live their lifestyle they want, and they just say, shit, everyone else around me doesn't want that. I need direction. My life is shit. They have what I feel like is good and what I kind of want. So shit, man. I'm gonna do everything they say. Everything they say. Because, fuck it, if it's bad, what's the worst thing that could happen? I stay the same? I would fucking hate my life. So, it's kind of a win or lose. But if I don't follow them, it's a lose-lose. And then but then the problem with that is people follow someone's message entirely. And because it isn't a one-to-one relationship, it's one-to-many through the use of social media, you get problems through someone following and listening to everything someone says and not understanding that not everything someone says is perfect or necessarily applicable to you, right? Like, not everything I say is perfect. There'll be many people that disagree with what I say. That's fine. And that is completely fine. But there'll be also some things that I say that are decent, which is also great. So it's your ability to sort of find what's applicable to you and move with it. But I think because there isn't any alternative father figure and they think it's shit, they've got all the answers because they're the only person that I see in my life that is successful or where at least I want to be, then I got to follow everything they do. And then that just causes more problems and more problems and more problems, and you go down darker paths and you take not only their benefits from listening to them, but you also create negatives from listening to them. But that ultimately stems from a lack of multiple father figures in the young person's life. Because if they had multiple, then you'd be like, yeah, then you'd be able to talk through different processes with different people, and you'd be able to you would be able to combine voices to come with an overall and a valued opinion. And not just that, because the use of social media, it's one to many, not everyone's life is the same. So when you're talking, you're saying, do this, do this, do this, but that might not be right in your situation. You know, it might be right to do something completely different. So the problem, whereas when you're one to one or one to a few, mainly better being one to one, then you get an accurate advice based on your circumstance in the moment. And that's vital and that's crucial, and that is the true things that help you. But unfortunately, due to the society we're in, we lack those male father figures. They just aren't there. You know, like I said, you can still have amazing, great parents, but in terms of excelling your life potentially, or doing the things you want to do, you know, it doesn't exist. And whereas maybe 100 years ago, you know, you'd find what you wanted to do, you'd learn under them, they'd nurture you, and then you'd progress, and you'd learn on someone else, they'd nurture you. But the lack of the male role model is almost a crisis in today's day and age, to which anyone that sounds kind of right is deemed as amazing, deemed as a god, like everything they say is perfect. So ultimately, I think there needs to be steps to fix this. I think instead of when kids are younger, the onus on the focus on the male role model, there isn't much put on it. You know, he's kind of like a father, he's just there, and the dad doesn't really know what he's doing, so he's trying to do his best, or he's just existing, and he isn't someone that's worthwhile following. And I think a lot of kids, they replicate that, and their kids will have the same problems or more problems. And I think until we correct our perception of masculinity in society, understand, and it's almost revert back to an extent how it was 100 years ago, then we will always and forever be at a place of a perpetual cycle of negativity towards the male space, and that'll in turn leave boys lost and more boys lost and more boys lost until the male role model shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks until there was one guy who stands up and he's like, yeah, I have all the answers, and all the boys are like, fuck, he has all the answers, let's follow him, because our life can't be any fucking worse, let's fucking follow him. And they do, and then that's how societies collapse, and that's how fucking bikes are made and all that shit, and wars are created because people blindly follow one person because the alternative is even worse. So I think there needs to be an improvement as well on the elderly. I say elderly is sound like it's like 70 years old, but like elderly in terms of over 30, those that could have certain life experience that could possibly teach. There needs to be more perspicacious and aware of their ability to give back and their duty to give back and help out younger people. But also that duty comes from finding and going through hardships themselves. So they have to battle test themselves and go through shit themselves so that they're in a space to give back. Because ultimately, I think that is the only way to change it. Because listening to someone who has got no life experiences is as useful as talking to the fucking wall. Who gives a shit? And yeah, that's my 2 cents for today. 10 minutes is up. 10 minutes every day. Gonna go third day. I've been Keelan. Peace.